One of my 2-year-old's favorite songs is "A Cover Is Not the Book." It's in the new Mary Poppins movie. I don't know if you've seen that. The cover is not the book, so open it up and take a look. And I'm telling you, at this point, having listened to that song now for almost a full year, I could recite every single word by memory. But I will tell you that despite what you might see on the latest Mary Poppins movie, the cover actually is the book. And if you want to push the needle and sell more copies of your book, well, you better get the cover right. So on today's show, EdTalks Live, episode 100, we're going to talk about how to grab your prospects by their eyeballs and bring them into the message of your book. EdTalks Live is next. Hey, what's up, party people? My name's Ed Rush, 5-time #1 best-selling author, your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. We're here on episode number 100. Holy moly, are you kidding me? We started all the way back in March, back when the governing authorities, by the way, I'm in California, back when the governing authorities said, guys, 2 weeks to slow the spread. We're 9 months later. I shouldn't go down in that on that road. What I will just simply tell you is that today we're going to talk about how to compel your audience to follow you by bringing your attention into into your book. By the way, if you haven't already done so, on the right-hand side, if you're on YouTube, jump in, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. If you're on Facebook, do that below. Please do say hello and join the community. Today we're talking about book covers. And by the way, I've been getting a lot of questions lately about the election. We're actually recording this about a week after the election happened. There was some calls being made this weekend. If you do have questions about that, I'm happy to talk about that. But towards the end of today's show, because today I want to talk about how you can flat out dial it in and to get people to buy more of your book. Okay, so I'm going to say hello in chat in just a second. Please do jump in and say hello, and I'm going to take your questions towards the end of today's show. But let me just tell you about a little conversation that I had about 8 years ago. When I was talking to a person who came to me because she had written a book, and she really wanted to do what I had done and gotten my book out there. And so we were having a conversation, and I said, so what's the title of your book? And she said to me, the title is "The Elephant is Yellow." And I said to her a question that you never want to hear when you say the title of your book. I said, so what's your book about? And she said, autism. Okay, now I'm going to give you some backstory, but the first part of that story that's most important is that the first thing you should know is that when you give someone the title of your book, they should never look at you and say, so what is your book about? So for example, if you came up to somebody and you said, Dale Carnegie, what's your book about? And he said, or what's your book title? And Dale Carnegie says, my book title is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Nobody would ever look at Dale Carnegie and go, what's your book about? Because the book, the promise of the book is sitting right on top of the title. That's the reason why my book, 21-Day Miracle, How to Change Anything in 3 Short Weeks, was written in such a way so that people already knew based on the cover what the book is about. And that's really one of the first things that I'm going to show you. But before I do that, I'm going to go back into that conversation. The conversation that I had with that amazing and beautiful woman, by the way, there was nothing wrong with her message. It was just how the message was being packaged. I said, tell me more about this book cover. And she said to me, you know, when my son was 4 years old, we had a story about a yellow elephant. And it was this story that eventually led me to an understanding of how to better communicate with him. And now my son is off, true story, by the way. She's like, now my son is off as a missionary in China. He speaks 4 languages, and you would not know that he grew up at all with autism because all of the symptoms are completely gone. And it started with the elephant is yellow. And I thought that was a great story. It's this beautiful, compelling story that just drew me in, but it can't be the cover. Because on the cover, it has to deliver the main promise of the book, in her case, which is how to completely eliminate any symptoms of autism with these simple 3 steps, which have been an awesome book cover. All right, so I'm going to get into some book cover tips in a second. Before I do that, I want to say hello to some of our friends in chat. What's going on? Good to see you, Barry. a whole bunch of you actually over on the Sangers were watching the Sangers training this morning. Apparently, I was teaching. That was recorded, okay? But apparently, I was teaching this morning. All of a sudden, I got a whole bunch of people that opted into my my website. I thought, where did they come from? Oh, that's right. That was this morning. Good morning, Jim House. Good to see you as well. All right, so Wendy, today is going to be your day when it comes to book covers. All right, so before I do this, I want to share with you. I spent some time. I woke up way early this morning, about 5:45. Spent a bunch of time on Amazon pulling out some of, how should I say this? Maybe some of the not so great book covers. And I'm going to show you one book that's going to blow your mind. But before I do that, let me just share with you a couple of examples. Here's one. Old Tractors and the Men Who Love Them. Look, I'm just telling you, if you haven't written your book yet, Old Tractor Guy has already written his book. Or how about this one? He's got a sequel. Look at this. I love this guy, Roger Welch. Everything I know about women, I learned from my tractor. All right, let's see. The next one, I don't know where I got this one from. I think this is the name of the author, but this is Cooking with Pooh, okay? So look, if you've gotten to the point where you're like, I think it's time for me to write my book, I'm gonna push you over the edge. Here's another one. I think this one's great. This is How to Make Money in Your Spare Time. And this was written by 873126. It's like, these are real. By the way, you can go look and find these book titles on Amazon. By the way, this is one of my clients' books. I love this book title. And it's a take, when he wrote this, it was when 50 Shades of Grey had just come out. This is his book, 50 Shades of Wealth. How to master and dominate your financial future. So it's a clever little take on what was happening at the time. It was probably like 5 years ago, and 50 Shades of Grey, or 7 years ago, whenever it was, 50 Shades of Grey had just come out, which was, well, you know what the movie was about. So he played off of that and how to master and dominate your financial future. Here's another one of my clients' books. This is Ian Bosler. This book is Print Money. Now, Ian was a book printer. Strategies to turn your printing business into a money machine without resorting to counterfeiting. Okay, so like another little clever take, but again, a good book title that grabs and compels people in. Or here's another one, Dale Bell, who is actually a exterminator. His book was Things That Crawl in the Night: Life Without Bugs. And again, the idea is that the book cover, or the meaning of the book is actually right there sitting on the cover. Okay, so the first and most important point from today, and today's going to be a little bit shorter. I'm just going to take some of your questions, and then if you have any thoughts on, I'm happy to, if you want me to give you any thoughts on what's happening nationally, I'm more than happy to do that, but I really want to focus in on the book cover. So the first and most important point is when you're writing a book, okay, so the first thing is, the most important, you've heard people say, look, don't judge a book by its cover. The first and most important thing about your book are three things that all come on the front cover, which is, number one, your title, number two, your subtitle, and number three, your book cover, or the image and what the book looks like, okay? So in a moment, I'm gonna go over to Amazon, and I'm gonna show you some examples sitting right there on Amazon. But I wanna show you this little picture right here. This is what people see when they're actually looking for your book sitting there on Amazon. And you can see a little thing down there that says, customers also bought this. That's about the size of the image that people see when they see your book. So for example, I've got a copy sitting right in front of me of a book that I wrote back in 2012. This is called How to Turn Clicks into Clients. Now, when we wrote this book, I mean, when you write your own book, you know every word, you know every graphic, you know all of the back and the front, because you've been looking at it for like the last 2 months. And so the tendency is to be like, everyone can see my book the way I can see my book. But the way that people see it is something like this, like way back here. That's about the way that people typically see your book. So again, the book cover needs to be enough to pull people in. There's a reason why this word miracle on my cover is so darn big. But then once people hit the book, the promise of the book needs to be sufficient to pull people in. And again, the promise of 21 Day Miracle was how to change anything in 3 short weeks. It was enough to pull people in. Let me give you another example. And again, a lot of today is going to be showing you some examples. This is a book cover from my friend Mike Koenigs. Now, the title of this book is Cancerpreneur. Okay, so I want to just stop there for a moment and just talk about this title. The title is called Cancerpreneur. Now, all by itself, the title Cancerpreneur. So if somebody was to walk up to Mike and go, "Hey, Mike, what's the title of your book?" And he said, Cancerpreneur. That person would typically then look at him and say, "Okay, so what's your book about?" And remember, that's the question that you never want to get. You never want to get the "what's your book about" question. And so when you have a clever title, like for example, 21 Day Miracle doesn't tell you everything either, right? When you have a clever title, the subtitle needs to pull the weight. Let me show you the rest of this. Cancerpreneur, how you, your marriage, family, and business can survive and thrive through cancer diagnosis, treatment, and recovery. And that subtitle delivers on the goods. Now, there is actually a reason why the subtitle is so long. It was a book that was only designed for Kindle. If you're having a book that's on paperback, you're not going to be able to fit that many words, frankly, on the cover of the book. But that was the only Kindle book, and there's a reason why you would do that as well. Okay, so first, let me jump into chat for a second. But first, let me just say, welcome to those of you who just joined us. This is a show called the Judge a Book by Its Cover. You've heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. Today, we're going to talk about judging a book by its cover, and we're talking about some of the best book covers. In fact, we're talking about some of the worst book covers. I'm going to go in a moment to show you my favorite book title of all. Episode 100. Yeah, episode 100. Diana says, thinking of changing my title from Grow a New Life to Grow a Food Garden, how to find health, peace, and joy growing your own food. Okay, so first of all, your subtitle, how to find health, peace, and joy growing your own food, is outstanding. I do need to think a little bit more on the title. So I don't love how to grow a new life because it sounds actually like a religious pitch almost. But let me think a little bit more about this. Minimum font size that are good for title, as big as you can get it and still make it look good. What's up? I know it snowed here this weekend. If you guys saw my Instagram page, you saw that we were walking in the snow, baby. All right, so I'm gonna take you to Amazon. And we're going to take a little side journey into book titles. Just like I laughed so hard this morning, and now you're gonna laugh with me, okay? By the way, you absolutely need to find a way to laugh right now, okay? So you're seeing my Amazon page. So actually, this is one of the best books ever written, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People, the original book that you need to succeed. That book, probably one of the best book titles ever in the history of books. But this is one of my favorite books. This is the book, How to Avoid Huge Ships. Okay, I want to give you a little bit of the background on this book. Before I give you the full, I need to pull myself out of this shot though. The background of this book is How to Avoid Huge Ships. First of all, great title. Because already, the book is already about exactly what he's saying it's about. It's about how to avoid huge ships. Now, the author, Captain John Trimmer, wrote this book in 1982. It was actually written as a primer for ship captains to actually avoid huge ships. I mean, it's not a joke. He wrote the book. In fact, the book became so popular that he actually had to come out with a second edition of How to Avoid Huge Ships. The first edition of the book is so popular that out of print right now, it's selling for over $100. How to Avoid Huge Ships. Now, the thing that I really want to get to, because this is where I lost it today. I told you, first of all, it's got one... I'm laughing because it's got 1,439 ratings. And apparently, people thought it would be really funny to have fun with the ratings of this book. Okay, okay, look at this. John Petty, A Book of Hate Speech, posing as advice. Now that looks like a real true to life review until you read it. As a huge ship myself, I'm hurt and offended that the author of this disreputable tract would suggest that I be avoided. Life is difficult enough as a huge ship in a world of sailboats, but now to be vilified like this, more than anyone should have to bear. Although federal guidelines exist regarding accessibility requirements to accommodate huge ships, we need extra wide docking space. In retail centers, for instance, I can tell you that they are rarely followed. Or this one here, this book helps me find strength when I need it most. I don't know if it was the pressure of early adult life or the demands of college, but I began to experiment with huge ships in my late teens. I began by looking at huge ship magazines in the basement when my parents weren't around. Then one day my mom came home early and unexpectedly caught me in the act. Both of my parents were furious. They asked me to go to the magazine, where the magazine was from, and I said I found it, although it only contained articles on small watercraft. As a result, I started to sneak out at night, telling my parents I was headed to a friend's house to watch Full House, but in reality, I was in the library reading up on huge ships. As my career developed, I found an apartment that I could afford, and I moved out of my parents' house. My interest in huge ships only grew. My apartment became a center for trafficking, huge ship paraphernalia, model huge ships, and it goes on and on. Or this one says, bad advice. I think this book misses the bigger issue. We shouldn't just be avoiding huge ships. We should be confronting them. If we spent our lives running away, the huge ships win. Or be careful to get the latest edition. I don't want to be negative, but none of the reviews I've read have actually addressed the fact that there are 2 editions. You want to make sure you buy the latest edition so that you have the most up-to-date information. Do you want to get run over by a huge ship just because you neglected to buy the latest edition? No, I don't think so. Or Angie Johnson, great advice, published too late. I wish I'd read this highly informative title in the late 90s. My husband and I both suffer from PTHSCD, post-traumatic huge ship collision disorder, which we acquired while piloting our own huge ship. I remember like it was yesterday. We were carrying 3 million gallons of blue paint to Morocco. This is the second time I've read this too. Wouldn't you know it, we collided with our competitors. They had about 4 million gallons of red brown on board. And before we knew it, we were all before they knew it, we were all here's one, White Oak Kindle edition. Given that there is a huge ship bearing down on me right now, I am extremely disappointed that I cannot get inst. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. I have to get back. I have to get back to the show. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think I should just read some more of these. I can't help myself. I mean, like, look. There's one about, I'm going to do this one more time. As the father of 2 teenagers, I found this book invaluable. I'm sure other parents here can empathize when I say I shudder at the thought of the increasing presence of huge ships in the lives of my children. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, you have to read. You just have to read. This is where I lost everybody's going to go over to huge ships. Chipmouse. Huge ships is still my favorite. I have to get back to teaching now. Oh my goodness. All right, so the first point. I'll go back to Amazon in a second because I actually have some things I actually have to show you. Is that the title and the subtitle need to answer the question, what is your book about? The second thing is, I already mentioned this, but I'm getting back to the points. The second point is you have to remember that people are going to see you when you're teeny, tiny. So the book should be able to pop out and grab people's attention. The third is most authors, and this is where I'm going to jump up to the whiteboard in a second. I'm going to show you a couple formulaic examples. Most authors, when they write their book, start with some form of writer's block around the title. In other words, you sit in front of a blank Word document, you're like, think, and you can't figure out what to write as far as your title, and because of that, you end up not writing. I will tell you that most of the great titles that I've come up with have actually come out of the writing. Sometimes some of the best stuff, you're in the middle of writing, you're like, ooh, that's actually a catchy little title, and you start to create those titles. There's also formulaic ways to begin to create your book titles, and I'll tell you that some of the best titles are actually takeoffs or ideas that were gleaned from other books, okay, or other book titles. So, for example, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich, which is Napoleon Hill's seminal work on the way that the mind works with regard to prosperity. One of my clients, Lori Barr, had actually wrote a book that, if I remember that title correctly, was Eat and Grow Well. The idea was how you eat affects how your body is, which is like a no-brainer, but Eat and Grow Well, the idea behind that was, it was kind of a take on Think and Grow Rich, which a lot of people already know the book title, but she created something new around that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the board in a second, but before I do that, I want to show you a couple of good examples of a book covers. Okay, so here's one. This is a book called Love Does. Some of you have read this book by Bob Goff. It's a very good book. Discover a secretly incredible life in an ordinary world. Okay, so that title juxtaposes a couple of ideas on each other. And again, I'm going to go to the whiteboard and give you a couple of examples of some formulas that you can use when it comes to book covers. Let me just come back to the screen. I'm not going to read any more of these. But take this book, for example, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, there's a good place to start when it comes to creating your book title is start with the word how. So one of my favorite ways to write, especially the subtitle of the book, is to start with the word how or to imply the word how. So for example, one of my favorite books about mountain biking is called Mountain Bike Like a Champion. It's by a guy named Ned Overend. It's who I learned mountain biking from back in the day. That book, the title of the book, Mountain Bike Like a Champion, implies the word how inside of the title. For example, 21 Day Miracles, 21 Day Miracle, how to change anything in 3 short weeks. I could have made it, the title of the book, Change Anything in 3 short weeks. And there's the idea of that word implied. Okay, so this is good. The author actually has a 3rd book coming out, and what is now a series, How to Live as a Personal Watercraft in a World of Huge Ships. Oh my goodness. So a person's considering writing a book. Is there a tool? Yes. Let's talk about that, okay? I'm going to give you a couple of resources on how to do that. By the way, for those of you who are interested, and many of you have already filled this survey out. Let me find the link. That's not it. Hold on a second. There it is. The link below, edrush.com/book survey. I'm going to be doing a book mentoring program starting probably right after Thanksgiving, first week in December. The idea is to get your book ready for 2021, which is going to be an awesome year for you. And it's going to be a mentoring program. I'm going to bring about maybe 7 to 10 new authors or experienced authors even into the program. And it's going to be part group, part individual coaching. You're going to get coaching on your title and your subtitle and your cover. I'm going to be showing you my process for creating a great cover. I'm going to be sharing a little bit of that in just a second. During the process, as a group, we're going to be coaching each other on the content of your book. So you're going to have people who are going to be looking and helping you out on maybe you should move this chapter over here, or maybe you should explain this a little bit better, or wow, this is great how you did that. Then together we're going to buy each other's books. We're going to help to promote each other's books. And it is going to be an intense coaching program. You're going to get plenty of time with me, but you're also going to get group coaching. And we're going to cover everything from how to write your book, how to get it done, how to get it edited. Okay, you're going to need to have a little bit more of a budget. That's going to be an investment into the program. You're going to need a little budget to create your cover. You're going to need a little budget for editors. I'm going to have some recommended editors for you that you could pick and choose from. I'm going to talk about how to create a book website so that you can generate leads from your book. And like I said, it's going to be a small program. I've done this with as many as 70 people at one time with massive success, by the way. I was able to help create, some of you have been there before, along with Mike Koenigs. We did 3 or 4 straight separate times. We did 3-day events where 70 people came in and everyone became a bestseller within those 3 days. This program is going to be a little bit more, it's going to take a little longer because I want you to be able to write a great book, okay? And during the process, we're going to be working together to create something that you can really love. So all I have right now is just a survey up. I'm just getting interest of people who are interested in this. And like I said, I'm going to take about 7 to 10 people through this program. Best guess on the pricing, it's probably going to be in the $5K range, but there'll be a 4-pay, so you can afford it if you have that there as well. All marooned, so good. There's the link for that. Yes, it's a mentorship program instead of an event. So the events, Brian, were designed to create cover, title, to teach you how to do everything, but to create cover, title, subtitle, launch you as a pre-release, make you a bestseller on a pre-release, and then you go off and complete the book. The coaching is going to be more intense in the sense that you're going to be completing the book during the coaching. The group sessions will go for 3 months. The one-on-one sessions will go out to a year to give you time to get your book done if you want to, all right? All right, cool. Plus, I will also be promoting your book, which is worth it. I'm actually guaranteeing bestseller in that program as well. And instead of a big event, it's a nice little group coaching program. Everybody's going to be helping each other out as well. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Go to booksurvey.com. I'm going to jump up on the board. My last part today is just talking about formulaic book titles. This is actually really important. Again, you sit down sometimes, you're like, oh man, I don't know exactly where to go when it comes to book covers. So let me just take this book as an example. This is the book Love Does by Bob Goff. And let's start with this as an actual example. I'm actually going to jump up on the whiteboard, but his title is Love Does, Discover a Secretly Incredible Life in an Ordinary World. So I'm going to use this as an example. I have never used this one before, but formulaically, you could do this. Discover something in a something, okay? So this is just simply a formula. So what I like to do is go find really great books that have done really well and look at their subtitle or subtitle and use an example of that, okay? So discover 10 amazing organic gardening secrets in a chemical-filled world would be an example of a subtitle. And again, I'm just making this up as I go along. But Diana, this is an idea for you. Let's say you teach people how to invest real estate. Discover a shockingly easy way to invest in real estate in a commoditized world. Okay, that would be an example for that. Let's say you teach people how to write books. Discover how to launch your book and become a bestseller even in a complicated world. That would be an example of how to do that. Okay, so what I like to do with book titles, just to get going, sometimes this isn't the end all and be all. Sometimes you come up with something, almost lost that pen. Sometimes you come up with something better later on, but I like to start formulaically with books. So let me give you another example. I showed you this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, okay? So if I was to take that book formulaically, okay, the formula would be how to and something else, right? How to garden nutritious, tasty food and impress all your friends, okay? How to write a best-selling book and share your message with the world. Again, this is a place to simply start when it comes to book covers, okay? This book cover follows that formula, how to make money in your spare time. This one, okay, this one, I know, it's a joke. I mean, it's funny. The guy wrote the real book, but take a look at this for a second. Everything I know about blank, I learned from blank, okay? So let me just show you an example of this. Again, this is my favorite way to do book covers, okay? Just take a book cover, make some blanks, fill in the blank. Check it out. Everything I know about I learned from blank, okay? Everything I know about gardening, I learned from nature, Everything I know about writing books, I learned in kindergarten. Everything I know about investing, I learned in 7th grade, okay? The idea now is you're telling people, like if I said everything I know about investing I learned in 7th grade, again, I'm just making all this stuff up as we go. I have nothing, none of these have been prepared, okay? And I did this on purpose. The reason I didn't prepare these in advance is I wanted to show you how simple it is to just fill in the blank. So let's say I wrote a book called Everything I Know About Investing I Learned in 7th grade. Now, there's 2 great parts to this book title. The first thing is, I know this book is teaching me how to invest wisely because I'm teaching everything I know about investing I learned in 7th grade. The second thing, and this is actually kind of a cool part of this title, is it's got what's called a curiosity hook. Okay? Here's one of my favorite curiosity hooks. I've just wrote this recently in a sales letter that I wrote. You're going to learn, here are the 3, or you're going to find out the 3 things you can learn in your bathroom that will help you launch your social media brand. Okay, the first thing people want to know is like, what am I going to learn in my bathroom that's going to help me launch my social media brand? So if you can add what's called a curiosity hook, now I want to know, like I'm serious, I just made this book title up, but now I want to know what this mythical guy learned about investing in the 7th grade. Because when I was in 7th grade, I didn't learn anything about investing. Okay, so when it comes to book titles, I start with formulas. I go and look. I mean, I will actually go, like for example, take this. I'm not even sure what's going to show up here. Okay, but let's go over here to just bestsellers, right? Let's go to the bestsellers and let's go to Amazon most sold books. Again, I have no idea what's going to show up here. All right, so let me just make this so that you can see the screen. 20 of the most sold and read books of the week. Oh, great. Now it's all, so like, here we go. Diary of a, start with that. Okay, so let's just play around with this book title for a second. All right, now, Diary of a, and then add maybe like a how-to, okay? So, a Diary of a Hopeless Gardener. How to grow amazing food for fun and for profit. All right, I'm just kind of making this up. Let's go back and try to find another book title. These are all, oh man, it's crazy. In the United States, I'm going to tell you something about our country in a second. By the way, this guy, it's amazing. This guy's still on the top charts. All right, we're going to have to go to nonfiction. Here we go. All right, nonfiction. Okay, let's take a look at this one. James Clear, Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. You see how simple that is? Atomic Habits, an easy, proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. That is as simple of a book cover as it gets, okay? So, an easy, simple way to blank and blank. That's how you start. You find a great book cover and then you fill in the blanks. And I'm telling you, you as long as you passed kindergarten, all right? It took me 2 times to do kindergarten, but as long as you pass kindergarten, you can fill in the blanks here, okay? An easy, simple way to eat great and feel healthy. An easy, simple way to grow nutritious food and have fun doing it. An easy, simple way to invest wisely and grow your assets. I'm just making this stuff up, but I'm just showing you how very simple it is to create great book covers. So you don't have to sit there forever and be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where I'm going to start. You do know where to start. Just go over to Amazon. I mean, literally, I clicked someplace, I didn't even know where it was going to happen, okay? And I found a whole bunch of books that are just sitting here that you could just simply read if you wanted to. Apparently, this book is great. I haven't read that, by the way. Look at that. That's still Still, number 17, okay? You could take a play off of that one if you wanted to. Here's another one. Chris Foss has never split the difference, which I also heard that was really good as well. All right, so back to you. I'm actually going to switch back to the center camera, and I'm going to take any kind of questions that you have. We've got about 5-7 minutes left. If you want to take any questions, I'm happy to take them from you right now. All right, so what's up, Elizabeth Jackson? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. I answered that question, Brian Jones. Oh, gosh, Rich. I had a whole other section I was going to teach. Thank you for remembering this. All right, so when it comes to formatting your book, there's two formats. You've got the written version of your book. This is actually a hardcover, but typically you start with a paperback. Okay, you have the written version of your book, and then you have the Kindle version of your book, and these are two different files. Now, the truth is, Amazon will make it happen if all you did was upload a Word document. For real, they will figure it out if you need them to. But ideally, you have a PDF that's laid out for a book layout, which means the opposite pages are different. And then you have a Kindle book that's designed and laid out for Kindle, which is a EPUB, EPUB, or MOBE file, EPUB or MOBI file. You don't have to worry about writing those down. You can find all that stuff out on the interwebs, okay? So now, when it comes to those two layouts, typically what I recommend is create your book in a Google Doc, not in a Word document, in a Google Doc. The reason why is because Google Docs can be collaborative. You and your editor can be in there at the same time, and you retain version control. If you're going to be coaching with me, you will create your book in a Google Doc. Otherwise, it's going to drive you and everyone else crazy. So you create it in a Google Doc. You get it edited. I don't have time to teach the editing process. I'll do that sometime in the future. But you get the book edited. Then when it's ready for layout, you have someone who takes the book and then lays it out for paperback and also for Kindle. Okay, let me show you my best resource for both book covers and book layout. Because the question that people always ask is, how do I get a great cover created? So let me just show you. This is my last two little resources, and then I'll take any of the questions you have, and then we'll start to wrap it up. Resource number one is over here, which is the website Fiverr, Fiverr. If you want to, I would go to edrush.com/Fiverr. The price is the same, and I get a little credit. I've never received any affiliate commission from them ever, so who knows if I'm ever going to get paid from them. But you should go over to Fiverr. Now, Fiverr is the place to get inexpensively done book covers. So you can see that there are book covers here for, say, $20 all the way to $120. What I typically do if I'm trying to get a book cover created on Fiverr is I will go over to the person's actual page and I will look at the actual book covers that they've actually created, okay? And if it looks good, like for example, this person has a pretty good set of book covers. Okay, look at this, by the way. See that 7 Secrets of Highly Effective Minds by Henry Washington? That is literally a takeoff on 7 Secrets of Highly Effective People. Again, sometimes some of the best book titles are the ones that are like something else. That, by the way, in terms of the cover, is a little too close to the real one, in my opinion, but still, there's a good example. Okay, so Fiverr is the place if you are interested in getting the book cover and you're on a budget. $50, $100, $200 is the most you want to invest in a book cover, then Fiverr is your place. Go find a half-decent designer. And my experience with designers is the more detail you can give them, the better the product's going to be. If you're just like, I'll just leave it up to your own creativity, they're probably going to create something that you don't like. But if you go on Amazon and you spend an hour or two looking at some of the best book covers you really like, and you send them, I like the way this is, I like the white, I like this font. If you give them some better ideas, they're going to create something a lot better for you. Now, the place that I personally use, this is what I use to create my book covers, is a place called 99 Designs. Again, it's edrush.com/99 designs. I haven't seen a check from them either, so you decide what you're going to do. It's the same price whether you use me or not. So this actually right here is my last book contest. I actually rebranded a book that I wrote in 2008. I changed the name, and I actually changed the title and subtitle of the book, and I created a different cover. And this is actually the brief of the actual book, okay? So it's like it has a full discussion of the actual book in here, okay? And you can also see the different covers that were created, okay? So I had 167 designers, 46 designers that created 167 entries, okay? Now, what's interesting about this is what happened was when they wrote this whole thing, okay? So check it out. When they did this was the final book cover. This is the one that I went with. But I liked I liked some of these so much that what I actually ended up doing, see this little book down here? Check it out, really down there in the corner, that little tiny one right there. I actually went and contacted that person right there to create the cover for 21 Day Miracle. So actually I got 2 book covers out of this one contest, because what happened was I really liked this other one, and I went and contacted him later, and he created the cover for 21 Day Miracle, which is the one that I'm still using today, okay? So 99 designs will cost you a little bit more to do a good cover contest. Mine there was probably like about $500. But you want to, the more you pay and the better your description is, the more you're going to attract good designers. And I'll do another video or a show on how to create a great 99 designs campaign. But if you do it right, you'll get hundreds of ideas, and you'll never run out of book cover ideas ever again, because they're going to be so great, okay? So my favorite place to go, and look, I know sometimes if you're on a budget, that's just the way it is. My favorite place to go is 99 Designs. And for example, if you're inside of our book mentoring program, we're all going to be voting and helping you with your 99 Designs. So what happens in 99 Designs is that all the people create contests, and you start grading them and telling them what you like. And then you usually pick like 5 or 10. When I pick 5 or 10, I pick 5 or 10, and then I send them out to all my friends at social media, a whole bunch of other places. I have people start voting on the book cover, and I start to find out what everyone else thinks, not just like my family members. I'm talking about my following, what they think, and you get a great answer from people, because sometimes you think a book cover is amazing, and it's not. Sometimes you think like, I just gotta have my cat on my book cover, and you don't. And the market will tell you that, and those things are really important, okay? So, Rich, I know that wasn't the whole part of your question. You asked about layout, but if you want to get your book laid out, I'm going to go back to Fiverr. Watch this. So I'm going to go back to Fiverr, okay, and watch this. I'm going to type in book layout. Watch this, okay? And when you do that, you will see, look, I will design book covers, interior layout, ebook conversion. I will typeset layout, format your book, $75, $40, $70, $15, okay? Now, we're not talking about like professional New York Times level layout. We're talking about sufficient layout that'll make your book look good, but people will still know that it's self-published, okay? So if you really want great layout, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more to an actual like professional person who does book layout, and that's completely up to you how exactly you wanna do that. What's up, Robert? Good to see you as well. Fun emailing you the last couple days, by the way. Diana, your new title idea is more attractive to me. Where is that one? Where did you say that? I gave you a whole bunch of, yes, okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Okay, so that is it. Let me just kind of do like a little bit of a wrap up for today. And then if you have any questions, I'll stick around to answer your questions. And then this Thursday, I'm working on a new guest. Either I'm going to teach a little bit more about books this Thursday, or I've got a guest that's going to come in. I've been dying to talk about cryptocurrency. We haven't talked about that barely at all. I'm looking at bringing in a longtime friend of mine to talk just a little bit about that. Okay, so a couple things kind of wrapping up in the book. I started today by telling you a story about my 2-year-old daughter's favorite song. And it goes like this: a cover is not the book. And then I went and told you that the cover actually is the book. The cover is the book. It is the sum, part, and parcel of what somebody sees with the book. And if they don't open the first page because they don't like what's on the cover, you're never going to get anyone to read or buy your book. So the most important thing are the 3 things, which is the cover, the title, and the subtitle. I said the title and the subtitle have to sell the goods. In fact, in other words, somebody should never say at the end of you saying what your title is, someone should never say, hey, what's your book about? Okay, so that was the first point. The second point I made was that it has to look good when it's really tiny. Teeny. So I asked, can people see you when you're tiny? The idea is the book needs to be able to catch someone's eye when they come up with that. And then the third thing, I really went into book title creation, the magic. And I think to this day, I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you, I've probably helped over 500 authors create their book title. And that might be low. It might be past 1,000 at this point. We used to do these events where people would just come, all these new ideas, book cover ideas, and Mike Koenigs and I used to like come up with everybody's. Okay, so having done it that many times, I can tell you, I mean, you saw what I just did on the board. I can usually do it fairly quickly, but the book has to catch someone's attention. And the fastest way to do that to start, you may not end up this way, is to go find 5 or 6 book titles you like, fill in some blanks, and create a new title based on the old title, okay? And it's what a lot of very well-known people do. There's nothing wrong about that. As long as you don't write a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, which, by the way, I'm not an attorney, but legally, you could actually do that if you want to. It's not advisable for brand reasons. Why would you ever take someone's book title? But book titles can't be copyrighted. By the way, consult your attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. All right, stay clear on that. All right, so that's it for today. I got some great stuff planned for you. By the way, next week I'm bringing Perry Marshall back. Perry wrote a book called Detox Declutter, which is going to blow your mind. And I'm interviewing Perry next week. And then, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. All right, so that's it for today. The website, by the way, is edrush.com/book survey. Let me just show you what you get when you go there. I actually just ask you just a couple little questions. Let me just pull this up and I'll show you. This is just me getting to know you just a little bit. Again, I'm going to take 7 to 10 people into this program, and it's little things like, how interested are you in working in the program? What's your name, which is obvious one. What's your last name? What's your email so that I can contact you? Tell me a little bit about your book. Briefly describe why you might be a good fit for the program, and that's it. So there's like 6 questions, and it's really simple. And everybody who's going to go through the program is encouraged to just fill that out. That way I can get to know you just a little bit more. And then I'll send you information when that comes out. Okay? So let me just kind of end by saying this. Now is like the best time in the world to get this thing done. Here's why. 2020, the whole world was focused on one thing, which was the coronavirus, and then after that, the election. But you know what? All that's beginning to be resolved. And by 2021, no matter what happens, by the beginning of the year, there'll be a president or a new president, whichever of those two things happens, okay? And by that time, the world's going to turn back on again, and they're going to be interested in what you have to offer. Over the last 2 weeks, it's been very difficult to get people's attention, okay? I will just tell you, as a marketer, I've seen about half of the result that I typically get on emails and responses and opt-in rates and that sort of thing. That's because people have been busy right now, obsessing over the media. And that's okay for now, but it's not you. Now it's time to turn the dial on and to really share your message with the world. And the truth is, 4 years from now, when there's another election, you can be really in a place of influence where you can help people think well about this. And you might not be there now, but now's the time to go ahead and get yourself into that position, okay? So thank you, Anita, for saying Happy Veterans Day. And also, Marine Corps birthday, hoorah. All right, so thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I'll be back this Thursday. I'm either going to do open Q&A or we're going to do a discussion on crypto, which is going to be a blast. Up until then, don't forget you have a message or a vision or a passion or something that's going to change the world. I can't wait to be your wingman on your way to do it. I'll talk to you soon.